Hello and welcome to Baiju's Exam Prep IAS. The big news for today is that in Karnataka, senior IAS and IPS officer have been confronting each other and now openly in the public. That has brought a lot of embarrassment to the All India Civil Services as a service and specifically the Karnataka cadre. The Chief Minister of Karnataka has also pledged that a warning has been given to the two officers. This brings us a chance to look into what are the All India Services Conduct Rules. As you know, from the examination point of view, you're not supposed to look into what exactly is the personal grudge between the two officers. Rather, we will be focusing more on what are the rules of conduct for such officers in the country. As you know, in Karnataka, IAS and IPS officers have been putting allegations on each other. These allegations range from allegations of corruption to allegations of sharing each other's photo with other male colleagues. However, we do not need to go into the specifics of the case. Let's look at what exactly is a code of conduct for the civil servants. This is a legally enforceable code that specifically tells what are the standards of behavior that the civil servants are expected to abide by. They make sure that the core values and the standards of behavior are told in clear terms to all the civil servants who are joining the services. The current set of codes that we have are a part of the Central Services Conduct Rules of 1964. Also, this rule is applicable to members of All India Service and also to the employees of various state governments as well. All the civil servants joining the services are expected to maintain this code and ensure that they maintain integrity and devotion to their duty. Now, if you look at the entire PDF of what the code of the civil services is, one of the points that is under discussion is this rule number 3. It says every member of the service shall at times maintain absolute integrity and devotion to duty and shall do nothing which is unbecoming of a member of the service. Now, this is where it gets interesting. It gives you 6 pointers: high ethical standards, integrity and honesty, political neutrality, promoting of the principles of merit, fairness and impartiality in the discharge of duties, accountability and transparency, responsiveness to the public, particularly to the weaker section, and courtesy and good behavior with the public. Now, this is where the case in hand, that is the IAS and the IPS officers putting allegations on each other, this is where it comes into the picture. Number one, they have not been exhibiting good behavior in public. Secondly, they have not really been ensuring that they live up to the high ethical standards that the civil servants are expected to. And this is where there has been criticism from all parts of the society of these officers. Now, the interesting part is we do not have any specific code of ethics for civil servants, although other nations have a specific code of ethics as well. In India, we have relied only on the code of conduct rules. This specifically comes under the purview of Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pension. So it is this ministry that can make changes in the rules whenever they want. And I will also give you certain examples of the changes in the rules that they have introduced in the past few years. The most important rule of all that the civil servants are expected to abide by is to maintain integrity and absolute devotion to duty. They do not have to engage in any activity that would be an unbecoming of a government servant. Means any activity that does not sit well with the prestige of the post that they are holding, they should not go ahead with that. Now, the interesting part is in 2007, there was a draft public service bill introduced by this ministry that wanted to establish a code of expectations from the civil servants, which would be called as values. So basically, there was an idea that a code of ethics, a code of values should be passed in a law, but the bill did not pass. Even today, we do not have anything such as a code of ethics. In that particular bill, which did not pass, these were the key values. For example, they were expected to abide by all the ideals given in the preamble of the Constitution. They should be apolitical, act objectively and impartially, ensuring that the economy and avoidance of waste and expenditure, all these things are expected from the civil servants. For example, as a civil servant, you would be in an authority to take a lot of decisions, including giving tenders, giving contracts, and there may be multiple opportunities which can be misused by the person in power to earn some favor, to earn some money. This is what should not happen. Not just because it is illegal, Even when it is legal, the civil servants are not expected to spend public money when it is not required. They should be mindful of the fact that the public money is a money that has to be spent wisely only when and where it is required. So ensure that there is no waste in expenditure. This is in fact one of the allegations that the IPS officer in this case has put on the IAS officer. The officer says that the IAS officer in her official residence during her time in Mysore had actually built a swimming pool in her official residence. Now, this is a prime example of wastage of public money for your personal expenditure. These things should not be done. Now, as I told you earlier as well, the Ministry of Personnel can make changes in these rules, and they have been bringing changes from time to time to ensure that these rules stay up to date. For example, the central government in 2021 allowed IAS and IPS officers to retain gifts that they receive from foreign dignitaries. Now, as you know, a lot of times, whenever there is any government to government meeting, multiple IAS and IPS officers are a part of the delegation from the government of India that go abroad. Members of these delegations are very often given certain gifts, presents from the foreign nations. Earlier, the rules were that in case these gifts are given, they would be retained by the government of India and not the specific individual. However, in this case, the personal ministry has amended the rules and they have said that if you are a part of the official delegation from the side of the government of India, you can retain these gifts from the foreign dignitaries. There's one other debate that we see very, very often. Do the civil servants also have the right to freedom of speech and expression just as the usual normal citizens have? As you know, Article 19 gives us a fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression, but it is not absolute in nature. A lot of times we see a lot of public servants, IAS officers, going ahead and criticizing a certain government policy on their social media accounts. This then brings to notice, do the civil servants have this power? Do they have the right to speak against the government in which they are serving? This matter has in fact gone to high courts also in the past. Tripura High Court, for example, said that the government servants are entitled to express their own views and the civil services rules do not put any restriction on them. So Tripura High Court favored the freedom of speech and expression. They said that no government service rules puts a restriction on their freedom of speech and expression. On the other hand, the Kerala High Court has mentioned that while one cannot be prevented from expressing his or her views just because he or she is working for the government, the fact is that they should be mindful of the fact that they are in a position where each and every expression, each and every statement that they say might have a big impact on the public. So while there are no restrictions as such, but they should be mindful of the fact or what are they sharing on their social media accounts, what are they telling their followers, etc. These are all the details about the All India Services Conduct Rules that you needed to know. As I discussed, in these kind of controversies, it is not significant for us to understand what is the exact issue. Why are the IAS and IPS officers fighting with each other? What is more important for us is to look at the facts, the rules, how these regulations actually work in real life. If you have still not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, do share such initiatives with your friends as well who are preparing for the UPSC examination. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day ahead. Jai Hind.